Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast.
Guys, welcome to another episode of Southeastern Bow Hunter Podcast. This is episode 140 in the main, group of podcast episodes, but this is also going to be episode 2 of the Whitetail series that we are running right now, trying to make this lead up all the way to Whitetail season for us in Georgia. I know you guys loved last week's episode with Tim Knight. This episode is going to be with Mr. Joe Miles from Asio Gear, who, in my opinion, is one of the best bow hunters that I've ever met. The dude knows his stuff. He runs Mission Whitetail, where they go into extreme depth on everything whitetails. He gets people on that know what they're doing, like Adam Hayes and Bobby Worthington. He is a wealth of knowledge. So I asked him to come on so we could talk about what he does, both preseason, early season, rut, and late season. So we're going to dive into all of that. Before we do, we got to give the shout out to all the partners. Every single one of these partners that we have that has a discount code is linked down below. So I'm going to run through this kind of quick. Working Class Bow Hunter, you want some new merch? Dude, they've got some new stuff from Dustin DiTio. It is awesome. So head over to workingclassbowhunter.com. Go support their YouTube channel. They just started posting all of their hunts. And like I said, the discount is down in the description below. Asio Gear. So Joe is obviously the man when it comes to Asio Gear. We are going to talk about the new pattern that just came out. I'm going to be running it this year. It's called the Wrap X. It is a different camo pattern than what they've had in the past, but it is still just as slick and just as good. I've been seeing photos and hearing reviews and stuff, and dude, I'm excited. So definitely head over there and get your new camo for this season, because we only have 2 months. At the time of recording this, we've got at the time of recording this, we have less than 2 months. So hurry up, get your stuff, upgrade it. You will not be disappointed. Summit tree stands. I'm going to be using my Summit this year. Again, my Summit Dual Threat Pro SD and hang on. They've got sticks, they've got hang-ons, they have climbers, they have accessories, they have everything that you need. So use the code down below to save you some money on some last minute, maybe some changes, a new tree stand, some accessories you need for your stand. They got you covered. That's summitstands.com. Next up is going to be the Bowtique. So Mike, as you guys know, is a freaking wizard when it comes down to custom arrow wraps. I'm running his wraps. It's the only wraps I'll run, man. So head over there, and he can literally make you anything. Okay, anything you need, he will make it to your liking, and you guys can collab on designs. Awesome dude, awesome company. Next up is Bergie Bowsmith. I call him the Bow Wizard. He also is a dealer for all of the brands, not all of, but a lot of the brands that we use. So head over to bergiebowsmith.com, use the code listed, and save some money, and also get a discount on when you send him your bow to get tuned. Next up is going to be G5 Outdoors. I am running the G5 Mega Meat this year. I'm also planning on having a couple of the Dead Meat V2s in my quiver. But if you're not a mechanical guy, or you don't like a 3-blade mechanical, for you guys that don't like the 3 blades, they've got a 2-blade called the T2. That is their 2-blade mechanical that I've seen videos, man, and it is nasty. And if you don't like mechanicals at all, they also have fixed blades. So head over there. You can get the Montec M3 Striker X or the Striker V2. Awesome broadheads. I trust them. I love them. Made the switch not that long ago, and I've used the Mega Meat in the past. It's the only broadhead I've ever used that I have 100% success rate with. So I don't know. It speaks for itself, in my opinion. Next up is going to be Prime Archery. So I'm shooting the Prime Form. I was on a podcast last night with my buddy Hunter from Blue Hen Outdoors, and we were talking about bows and the new form and all of that. And it's the best bow I've ever shot. It's super comfortable, super stable, super quiet, just top notch. So if you guys are really running behind, you want to go get a new bow, head over to Prime Archery. They have the Form 34, Form 30, RVX Plus 32 and 34, and there was one, I think it's the Ronin. All great bows. So go support those guys, and go get you the new first ever hybrid bow on the market, the Form. Next up is going to be Dialed Archery. So my dialed proof is stacking, dude. I'm telling you. Shot it at the shoot last Sunday, and man, did not disappoint. That it is the best bow sight I've ever used. You can customize it almost any way you want. They have multiple small batch series that you can go get to. So if you're a bottomland fanatic, or a Realtree Edge fanatic, or a First Light, or if you love America so much you want to have basically a Star Spangled Banner dialed on your sight, you can go get that. Next up after them is going to be Ace Hardware and Social Circle. That's my local bow shop. Love those guys. They really helped out with the giveaway. So thank you guys. And yeah, they'll get you covered in any way that you need. Next up is going to be Moultrie. So Moultrie has a new 200-pound capacity feeder. You can link up with your camera, time everything from your phone. Moultrie, in my opinion, has been a staple in the cell camera industry for forever. I use their cameras. I love them. No problems. And yeah, man, there's some cool stuff coming from Moultrie. So keep an eye out for that. Next up is going to be the Bow Hunting League. You can see my hat. I'm wearing the Asio Gear Bow Hunting hat or Bow Hunting League hat. Love those guys. Thank you again to Kyle and oh God, it's gonna kill me. His buddy, I can't remember his name. I'm terrible with it. I'm so sorry. But just really thank you to the Bow Hunting League for getting involved in this past week's shoot. It was awesome. What you guys are doing for the community is second to none. So very, very thankful to be working with y'all. Go sign up. Go join a team. Go sign up. There's not much time left. Next up is gonna be boning archery. I am using the boning alpha right now. That's what I have in my arrows. Looking back there, you can see them. They're all white. Only vein that I've ever used where I can throw a heavy helical on it and there is absolutely no drop or fishtailing at long distances. So awesome product that they've come out with. Boning has been around for decades. Okay, so I trust them with my arrow setups, and I think you should too. Next up is going to be the Chase. That's my buddy Brock's YouTube channel. Scrape Doctor. Dude, James is awesome, man. I've used a multitude of different scents, and Scrape Doctor stuff is the only one that keeps them coming consistently back that I've seen so far. So head over to scrapedoctor.com, use the code, go get you a whole kit. I actually am going to be putting out another rope here soon, and you know, get these bucks moving, man. I've already got them out there. I could use another one. So yeah, please go support him. He is a great dude with a great product and great company. Let's see. Next up, Victory Archery. So I'm going to be running the HLRs this year. Jessica just got, which is my wife for those who don't know, she just got into archery a little bit. She is going to be running the V-Force Gamers, and we are going to be custom building those with some Bowtique wraps, some boning vanes, and dude, throwing some G5 BMPs on the end of that for practice season. But dude, I love Victory's arrows. It's the only arrows that I've trusted for the past 3 years. And I really like the new HLR. It is I think a 1.5K weave, lighter than almost any of the weaved carbon out there. I looked yesterday and it's like a 350 spawn 7.1 or 7.3 something GPI, which is insane. So for those of y'all who want to have heavier FOC, that would be the arrow to go with. Even the 300 spawn is only 8.1. So Victory's doing some amazing things. Shout out to them for always having us hooked up, and I'm very excited to show you guys this new build that I'll be working on. So keep up with that, and if you want to change your arrows up this year, go get some Victories, man. Run the RIP TKOs, the VAP SS, HLR, any of them. They're all high quality, in my opinion, the best arrows on the market, bar none. And last but not least is going to be Outdoor Call Radio. So I said this last week, it's kind of a new thing. We are now featured on Outdoor Call Radio, which is it is a radio show based in Iowa that my buddy Dan runs, and he was kind enough to reach out to us and but he was wanting us to, you know, get involved and start being featured on his show. So we are doing that. If you want to go support him, go download the app called Outdoor Call Radio and go listen to all of it. He doesn't just do my stuff. He does like Working Class. He does a bunch of other shows that a lot of people listen to. So please go help support him. That is all the partners. So before we dive into it with Joe, you guys know every episode, man, I've got to talk about Jesus. The things that he's been doing in my life, the fact that we had this crazy turnout from the bow shoot, I have to give that all to him. All the glory goes to God. Everything that happens with this podcast, whether it goes from the partners, you listeners, people reaching out, people hitting us up, you know, just wanting to talk, people coming out to the bow shoot, it's all because of God. You know, and it's my job to present him to you guys in the most real way that I can, which for those of y'all that are a lot like me, that, you know, we all fall short of the glory of God, right? I placed my faith in Jesus wholeheartedly about a year and a half ago. Okay, I got baptized and made a public statement and all of that. I am actually going to be going on to Know Him Outdoors, their podcast next week, and we're going to be doing full testimony, full just Christ centered stuff, and I'm actually really excited about that. So to keep it short, if you guys don't know who Jesus is, please give him a chance. He will change your life. Not only will he save you from what could happen after we are done here on this planet, um, dude, he loves you, and to have somebody that loves you unconditionally, and that even when you fall, like I fall all the time. Okay, I'm a sinner, right? But because of Christ's blood, I can call myself righteous, right? It kind of doesn't make sense to a lot of people. I understand that. I still struggle with it too, but that's why I put my faith in him. It's we're saved by grace through faith, and that is one of the most. That is the gift of God. Okay, we don't earn it; we just accept it. So, if you don't know him yet, please, please, please open your Bible, give him a chance. You will not regret it. And yeah, so that is the whole intro. Kind of a long intro. I'm sorry, guys. Thank you again to everyone that came out to the bow shoot. Congratulations to all the people that won stuff. I hope you guys had a great time. I cannot wait to do it again next year. I hope everybody listening right now comes, because we're gonna do it even bigger next year. So yeah, that's everything. So let's get into it with Mr. Joe Miles from Asio, and let's talk whitetails. We've got another repeat guest, but don't let that fool you. If I can talk, this is one of my favorite people to get back on here. I've known him now for what is it going on 3 years?
Yeah, man, I think so.
So we got Mr. Joe Miles back on here, and he is going to be in episode 2 of the Whitetail series that we are doing, because Joe knows his stuff. If you've seen his trophy room, you'll know what I'm talking about. But the best thing I love about it is Joe is very humble about it. So, buddy, I guess for those who don't know you, which to me is a huge surprise, but let's just say someone's living under a rock. Who are you?
Man, yeah, Joe Miles owned Asio Gear Camo and grew up in a hunting family. Have been very fortunate. My father was a big whitetail hunter and just kind of got me started really young. Started bow hunting at 16, gave the rifle up, and been bow hunting ever since, and love to chase them in all different parts of the range. From here in South Carolina to I've hunted them in Washington State, hunted them in Alberta, all the way down to Mexico and everywhere in between, and just been eating up with chasing whitetail deer and trying to get in on one particular buck. I really like that. I like finding a deer to hunt, and that may be in Kansas, that may be in Alberta, that may be here at home in South Carolina. And that's what I enjoy, trying to find one particular deer and hunt that deer. So that's kind of been my thing for the last, I don't know, 15 years, 20 years. And so, yeah, I just eating up with it like a lot of your listeners and yourself. Just love hunting the whitetail deer and bow hunting them specifically. And it's very, very frustrating, but it's also very rewarding when it comes together. So that's me. That's what I love to do. And then I like the business side of it too. I love creating and having the opportunity to do something in the space that we enjoy and like has been a real blessing. So yeah, man, that's a short version.
Yeah, I mean, as the owner of the best camo brand out there, I would say you kind of have to like the business side of it, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, man. It's so Washington State. So I'll lay it out for the people listening. So we're gonna go over the preseason stuff all the way to the late season stuff, right? Before we get into that, Washington State. I was looking up the I guess state record deer, right? Both gun or no, I'm sorry, both typical and non-typical. Do you know that Washington State's, I think either one of the two was like over 200 inches?
Yeah, man. Eastern Washington around Spokane, they've got
Yeah,
some flipping monsters
that's
around there.
crazy.
It's a
I didn't
long
think of that.
way from South Carolina, but they
Yeah.
come in really early. Like I think they have a September 1 or first Saturday in September opener, or they used to. And there's a buddy of mine, Troy Pottinger, that hunts out there in Idaho and
Hmm.
Washington and Montana and all that. And he kills some monsters. It's big woods country, it's big woods, and they've got wolves out there, mountain lions. So they got a serious predator issue, but man, there's some big deer out there.
Yeah, dude, Troy is a beast in his own right. I've heard him on a few podcasts. I've tried getting him on here, but I can't get a hold of him. But his scrape tactics and stuff I've used in the past with really good results. And I remember him telling a story one time about how he will go out there in the middle of summer in like this whole suit, right? Just to stay as scent free as possible and go miles back just to scout and put scrapes out. And I'm like, I couldn't even I can't do that here in Georgia in 98-degree weather and 98% humidity. Thinking about putting on some sort of scent proof suit and then walking miles, you'd never find me. I would die. There's no
Yeah,
way.
yeah, it'd be impossible. It'd be
Yeah.
especially this time of year, man.
Yeah. So I'm like, dude, that dude's a killer. So yeah, I had to bring that up when you said Washington, because like I think of Washington, I think of blacktails, you know,
Yep,
and
yep.
I mean, yes, I knew whitetails were there. I didn't know they got that big. So
They've got
that's
monsters.
crazy. But all right, cool. So now let me ask you this. Do you want to cover the new pattern from Asio before we get into the nitty-gritty?
Sure,
Okay.
sure, absolutely. I can be quick on that too. So we've got our new RapX pattern, RAPX, RapX, and that is Rapix is a Latin word for predator, and it made a lot of sense to name it that. So, just like Asio is a Latin word for a genus of owl, and that is where our original pattern came from, was from the great horned owl. So we are big into the predator-prey natural relationship. We think nature got it right. So we have our raptor pattern that we're going into our 6th year with, and has been very, very well received in the market, and we're very appreciative of that. Had a lot of guys asking for a universal pattern, one that they could use in the tree, one they could use on the ground, one they could use if they went out west, to do an elk hunt or a mule deer, or they do some spot and stalk in Kansas. For whitetail, they hunt out of brush blinds, just more of a universal pattern. And so we went back to the drawing board and looked at the predators of whitetail deer, predators of mule deer, of elk. What are those predators? And that's obviously coyote, mountain lion, bobcat, wolf. We looked at those ground predators, those ambush predators, and that's how we developed the pattern. We took pictures, high definition pictures of those predators, and used the same coloring, the same shading, the same depth, the same shadows of those ambush predators, and created this RapX pattern. And I've told this multiple times, but I'll tell it again for your listeners. When we finally got the first shirt done, our marketing manager, Wells Fleming, was looking at it, and he was just like, dude, that makes me want to put that shirt on and go outside and kill something. And I was like, yes, sir, we have nailed it. So yeah, man, it has been very well received. We had a trade show, as we talked about off air here before we got going this weekend. And man, guys were just coming up and digging it. And I guess the negative to that is now guys can't decide which pattern they want, whether they want the original or the new one. And I said, well, it's mission specific. If you're going to be doing stuff out of trees 99% of the time, then go with the Raptor. If you're going to be doing some more universal stuff and doing some stuff on the ground, some in the trees, maybe you got that elk hunt or that mule deer hunt, antelope hunt booked out west, then go with the RapX. But yeah, I would encourage guys to have both.
Yeah, I mean, I plan on being one of those guys, right? Like I
Yeah.
already have the original pattern in early season stuff and was planning on getting some before I knew the Rap X was coming out. I was going to get late season, right? But then it
Yep.
came out and I'm like, well, in Georgia especially, our color and all that stuff really goes well with the Rap X in late
Yep.
season. So I might be just up there looking like the Michelin man, like a big old fat bobcat in the tree.
Let's
Or,
do it.
or if I'm on public, like I'll just, because I found 200 acres of public that's bow only right by my house. So I'm going to be over there a lot. And dude, I'd love to do a spot and stock on that if
Yeah,
I can do it. But
sure.
yeah, I got some plans, Joe. I got some plans.
Good, 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 good. I'm glad. I know you do. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Cool, man. All right. So we got that out of the way. Now into the nitty gritty. What's your preseason? I want to start with preseason. So what preseason, which I consider preseason, our season here ends in January. So like the last day of January is preseason beginning for me. And that goes all the way up to opener. So that's like 9 months. What do you do during the preseason time?
Yeah, so that's really a time to dial in your controllables, and controllables is mostly gear. Things that I may want to change or do different. There's a new bow coming out that I want to try, new broadheads, new arrows, work on my shooting form, all the controllables. If there's a new stand out, I don't know what stand company you're affiliated with, but we work a lot with the Lone Wolf Custom Gear guys, and they came out with the new Patriot series this year. So you want to get that stuff in house and actually get familiar with it. So it's not August 15th and you're scrambling around trying to put silent tape on your sticks and make sure your cam buckles are dialed. So that is a controllable time for gear. If there are new cameras that have come out, if you want to try new cameras, we've run the Spartans a lot, but we've started playing around with the Wise Eye cameras. So, you start messing with all that gear, testing all that gear, all of your controllables. It's a good time to get dialed with your shooting. It's not in the season. So if you want to go to one of these tack events or just shoot in your backyard or hang some tree stands and shoot out of the tree stands, which is what I really encourage, is trying to make it as lifelike as possible. So that is, what I call the prep season. It's not really the off season, it's the prep season when you're getting everything dialed. If you're able to get, or you make some changes to your gear and you're able to go on a hog hunt or an axis hunt, or some type of hunt during the off season. Hogs being us in the Southeast, it's easy to go find some public ground that's got some hogs on it. Shoot some hogs with your new broadhead, your new arrow, and your new bow setup. So that's really what I'm doing as far as a controllable. And then always looking for new properties, new places to hunt, kind of get into what does my season look like? Am I going to, am I focused solely at home this year? Am I going to do one out of state hunt? If I am going to do that one out of state hunt, is it, say, in Ohio? Do I want to go up to Ohio, make a scouting weekend, go up there and look at public ground? If you're a public ground guy, you can go up there and walk some public January, February, see kind of how those trail systems work into, when it greens up. Are you going to try and go to Illinois? Are you door knocking? Are you looking for leases? That's a really good time to establish where you're going to be, and especially that January, February, March timeframe before the green up. If you're a rut guy, if you're a rut funnel guy, that's a time of year to find those funnels, and the trail systems are really easy to see that time of year, whether it's snow still on the ground or, nothing's greened up. So you can really see how those trail systems form, where they come together, what obstruction they're kind of going around. So it is a busy time of year. There is no real slacking off that time of year, but it can be very, very productive. And you hear the saying that those big deer are killed in February and March. You hear that a lot because you're dialing in those spots and you're getting them predetermined to where you're going to be. So you're so far ahead that come, August, September, October, when you're then identifying that buck, knowing that he's alive, you'll know where to hunt him come into October, November. So yeah, that's long and short of it for the quote unquote preseason. That's what's going on that time of year in the Miles household.
Never ends, man.
Yeah, never
Yeah,
ends.
it's funny you like bring all, or I guess really say all of that, because I've had conversations with my wife, with friends that aren't, just big deer hunters. Like, they hunt, but a lot of them are turkey hunters, deer hunters, duck hunters, stuff like that, right? And I've explained, I'm like, look, it never ends. The second season's over, you have to start thinking about what's coming next season, right? And dude, I think it's the big thing, is the joke I've been saying a lot this year is everyone forgets about deer season up until the 4th of July, right? That's kind of what it seems like. I've got some buddies that do food plots. In Georgia, we can bait, right? So I'm the guy that likes to throw money at deer,
Yeah.
fold in little coins at them, basically.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Even though
sir.
it's June and I can't do anything with it, but it's allowed me to keep up with deer that like I was telling you earlier, there's $7, $8 that I know of from last year that have just blown up. And
Yeah.
it's like you can watch them throughout the year. I mean, I've got data that's, I've saved from when the biggest one day lighted, and you can look at what the wind direction is, what the temperature, the dew point, all of that. And it's like, it's not as simple as just going in and being like, all right, deer season, here's some corn. I'm up in the stand. Oh, there's deer. It's
Right.
a lot more that goes into it.
Yeah, and it depends on, there is a lot more that goes into it, but it depends on what a guy's after, right? If
Yes.
a guy, it's nothing wrong with come opening weekend going out and getting your stuff set up and enjoying the hunt. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely perfectly fine. It's just different styles and what different, guys are into doing.
Yeah.
Personally, I just like to play in all of it and be as serious and try to be as successful as I possibly can. And it takes, if you want to do that, it takes a lot of effort.
Exactly. Yeah. And I guess maybe I made it sound bad because,
No, you didn't make it
I,
sound bad at all. No,
I
no,
was thinking back when I said, I'm like, ooh, I kind of sounded like a little pretentious there, didn't I?
no, not at all. I mean,
Yeah.
it just, they're guys. I got buddies, lots of buddies around here that and some that let me hunt on their properties that don't really care. I mean, they're gonna when it cool. There's zero chance if there's a football game going on Saturday or college football Saturdays, there is no chance that they're going to be hunting that day. They're going to be watching football. But
Yeah.
come a no, cold November morning before football, they're going to be out there on Saturday mornings, and they have a lot of fun doing that too. So nothing at all wrong with that.
So that's the secret then. Get a buddy that's got property who loves football. Find a big
Mhm.
buck on there and just go whenever season's in.
Yes,
Right?
that is the way
Got
to
it.
do it. Yeah,
All right.
noted.
Well, you know what? Podcast over. That's how you kill big deer.
There we
Thanks, Joe.
go.
I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
perfect. Well, that was easy.
So do you do food plots?
Man, I do not have a green thumb. They do. So I guess we talk about what I have access to hunt, and one of them is a hunt club that I am a member of. That's got 12 members
Okay.
here in South Carolina, and right next to it is a larger piece that my best friend's family owns, and they allow me to hunt. And on both of those properties, they do put in food plots. There's a farmer that puts them in on the club side, and then there's a caretaker that puts them in on the private part.
Mm.
And we have been using the real world Dixie Dozen, planting that, and have had a lot of success for that for the fall food plots
Mm-hmm.
and even into turkey season. It's 12 different seeds that are in there. You plant it in the fall. I think September is when you throw it in the ground, September, October. And it keeps feeding the deer from when it germinates all the way through the end of turkey season into May. It's really, really good, and have had a lot of luck with that in the swamp. So
Is that what you posted on Instagram earlier today?
yes, yeah,
Okay, I thought
sure
so.
is.
I
Yep,
thought so.
yep, sure is.
I might have to look at that because I've got a spot my grandparents own that I hunt, and they actually called me yesterday. It was their lawnmower broke, and they're like, "Hey, can you because we've got that as just like a side business, right?"
Yeah.
And they were like, "Hey, can you come out here and give me a quote?" And I was like, "Dude, I'll do it for free. Let me hunt there." And Gramps is like, "No, no, no!" Like he's getting mad. He's like, "No, I am gonna pay you, or I'll go somewhere else." I'm like, "All right, look, I'll come over there and give you a price, okay?"
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about doing a fall plot there because I've got this little opening. I can make like a micro kill plot.
Yep.
And so I might have to look in the real world stuff because I need to do something. The only thing is, I don't know if I have a green thumb or not. Last time I tried a food plot, it was just clover and the deer ate all the seeds before it ever had a chance to germinate. So
Yeah. No,
I don't know.
I get that, and I'm not a like I don't plant these food plots. I've done it. I've done it before. I've planted them before. I had a little bulldog thing that went on the back of my four-wheeler, but I didn't have a big tractor, and I
Mhm.
would tear some ground up and plant some stuff. But no, I'm not a big food plotter.
Okay. Well, then I want to get into the early season stuff because that's going to lead me to what I really want to ask you after what you just said. But early season, what are you looking for? Like everyone says the basic thing like feed trees, maybe rubs if, we're a little bit later in the year where we don't have velvet bucks anymore. But like if you're stepping into a property, right?
Mhm.
what's the top 3 things that you're going to be looking out for that's going to tell you basically, okay, I need to be here if I want to get a mature buck on camera or in front of me?
So I really hunt or focus on 2 times of the season, and that is the absolute early opener.
Mm-hmm.
And then I really kind of stay out until the pre-rut rut. But your question is interesting because I think we have to drill it down more to where you are hunting. Like, for example, South Carolina opens August 15th. Kentucky, first Saturday in September.
Mm-hmm.
Alberta, up around the Peace River starts the very end of August. Washington State starts, that September 1st time frame. So if you I want to hunt the opener in a state that opens early, where they're still in velvet, where they're still bachelored up, because that is an opportunity. They have not been harassed. They haven't done their fall shift, and you can really ambush a good deer that time of year. So, where do you want to look at? Do you want to look here in South Carolina? Do you want to look in Kentucky? Do you want to touch on both of them? It all revolves around food for,
Yes.
that early in the year. And that's very simplified, but that's very, very true. And then, so really we can just, if you want to, we can just look at that.
Yeah, let's cover really like our area, like the Southeast,
Mm-hmm.
maybe into Kentucky, because I kind of consider Kentucky like a little bit of the Southeast, more
Yep.
Midwestern. It's like right there in the middle.
Yep.
Um, because a lot of what I've been looking at, like I listen to a ton of hunting podcasts, and a lot of them are Midwest based, and they're always
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, in October," and I'm like, "Dude, by October, I've already seen a couple of the bucks I'm after. Maybe I've killed one. I mean, we're getting into pre-rut in October."
Yeah.
So you don't really get a lot of the southern or southeastern tactics that, guys like us would need,
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess let's just focus on our area. Like
Yeah. Yeah. So South Carolina, early season, like right now, I've probably got 5 cameras out. I've got them on mineral licks, and I'm starting to pick up some bucks. They're not fully grown, but you're starting to recognize who's who.
Mhm.
And they're actually a little later this year. One of the bigger 8 points that was in there last year is back, but he's still got a lot of growing to do. Like, I don't
Really?
think, I don't even, yeah, I mean, I know we got another month before the season opens, but his threes are just now starting to form, and he's got a long way to go. But I think he'll be done by August 15th anyway.
Yeah.
So food is the key. And in a big swamp setting where you don't have a lot of food plots, and it's so hot for us to get that quote unquote spring food plot or early fall food plot to go,
Mhm.
man, it can be difficult because we'll get a hot snap of 10 days with 100 degrees, no rain, and it'll just burn them up.
Yep.
So I certainly don't rely on that type food. Now, the hill of the swamp has got some beans this year. It's going to have, there's a guy that farms it. So, and it's not on us, but it backs right up to our swamp. So I will be focused heavy. Like, I'm going to go into the swamp this weekend, get a lot more cameras out, get serious. I'm a couple weekends late getting cameras out, and I've just had some family stuff to do the last couple weekends, so haven't had a chance to do it. But this weekend is all to myself, so I'll get those cameras out, and I'm going to focus on those beans. And it's actually an area that I can glass. And so what
Okay.
I look for, if I'll get in there in glass, if I don't get anything on camera, because it's a big couple really big bean fields, I want to see where those bucks are coming out. And you really have 2 options to me early season. You have on the X, which is on top of the food, pretty risky move. But if you've got 3-4 nights in a row, or you're getting pictures 3-4 nights in a row of the bucks, those bachelor groups coming out to that food, on that food, you got a good wind, you can get in there and hunt actually on the X where they're feeding, and can be successful. You have to be very careful with that, because getting out of there can be challenging in the afternoons. If you don't get him killed, you got a field full of deer that are feeding, and you got to get out of there. So one tactic is to, have somebody come in and drive a vehicle or ATV, whatever, and kind of push the deer off the food that way, so they don't see you climbing out of your stand. So that can be effective. The other is to hunt on the transition to the food. And that can be pretty difficult, if you get your cameras back off the food source and kind of see how they're getting there, and then kind of map that wind and see what wind they're using to get out to the food. That is an opportunity where you can hunt it a few times. Normally, they're going to be back to bed early season before daylight, especially where they're pressured. So I don't really even think about hunting mornings that time of year. Now, always and never are two words that don't get used very well in the hunting world. If you say they always do this or they never do this, you'll get some humble pie. And Murphy will show up and they'll do exactly what you don't think they're going to do. So yeah, do deer get killed August 15th in the morning in South Carolina? Sure they do. But for me, it's not a norm. So I normally stay away from the mornings, and I will hunt on the X depending on the data that I have and the repeatability of those bucks. Are they doing the same thing over and over and over again? And I've got that same situation, that same wind. Then yeah, I'll get on the X and try and kill him that absolute first night that I can get in there. Preferably, I've got some intel from cameras of them leading to the food, and I can get in a spot there that's not actually on the X. So all the deer will filter through out into the field or out into whatever they're feeding on. Then I can slip down and get out of there, and they're no wiser to me being in there. So that is kind of my early season tactic, is to obviously, like everybody else, focus on food and then make a decision on whether I'm going to be on the X, actually on the food, or off of it on the travel route to that food.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you said something in there that I can fully relate to. Like last season, my best spot, it's really small. Like you've got, it kind of looks like a dumbbell. It's like this funnel that's super thick, and then you've got two big portions of woods on both sides. And across from where I was set up, there's this big marsh, right? And I only have permission in like this one little area. And it's so thick that you can tell like the bucks like it, right? Especially if I send you the photos and whatnot. I mean, you can tell these deer love being in there. But to keep them there, we were putting food out, and I went in. I got the spot last year and didn't know anything about it, so I put food out, got cameras, whatever. I see a ton of deer, and I'm not thinking clearly. I go in. This is in November, by the way, so this isn't even early season. But I go in, spook one of the bucks that I would have shot. This dude walked within 10 yards of me. I don't know if he was blind. I don't know if he just didn't care, but I'm standing under a street light because it's next to a church. I'm under this street light and I see this buck walking, and he just doing his thing. Doesn't even know I'm there. I've got my stand on my back, my bow in my hand, my bag in my other hand. I'm like, what? Do I hit him with, like, what do I do? And that kind of told me that it's basically impossible to get in there even in the mornings, whether it's November, October, doesn't matter. So I was thinking about that when you said like mornings are basically a no-go, even though I killed him the September 14th, 17th, something like that in the morning. But I consider that a fluke, right?
Yeah, no, always and never, man. If your cameras or whatever are showing you, they're coming back through an area in daylight to go bed, and they do it multiple times. They're on such a good pattern that time of year, man. Yeah, I mean, you get in there and kill him. I mean, it's just, to me, it's always been the exception to the rule. I haven't killed a lot of them early season. I run a ton of cameras and really stay involved that time of year, because that is one of the best times you can kill a mature buck, because he hasn't been hunted for 6 months, and he's on such a pattern, and he's not doing just crazy run and rut type stuff. So yeah, and he hadn't shed his velvet. He's more apt to daylight then. Testosterone's not in him, so he's very killable in those early, August 15th, man, that's an early, I think it's the second earliest season opener in the country.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity that we have here in South Carolina to kill one early.
Do you have any spots, and you'll know why I'm asking this, but do you have any spots that the cameras show you that they're just in there like all night and all morning to the point where you can't even slip in at all? At least in the morning.
Man, no, because all of my cameras are really on food early season. You know, we can't really run bait in the swamp because the hogs are so bad. You know,
Yeah.
the hogs will find it and eat it. So, we'll do muscadines, we'll do greenbrier, we'll do those bean fields I was talking about. You know, there's a lot of browse in those fresh cutovers where I say greenbrier. So, no, I'm not really running. I heard a guy say the other day that if you put bait out, it can turn your spot into a nocturnal spot. I don't know about that. I think maybe they're just coming to the bait at night. And if
Yeah.
you're having to go in and out of there often to refresh that bait, then yeah, if it's in a typical bedding area, then yeah, you're going to blow that up. But it's not necessarily from the bait; it's from you walking in and out of there. So
Yeah.
anyway,
That's been my like struggle this year, like making plans, right? Is I do not want to overpressure this place with the thing with how many bucks are showing up. That's my biggest fear is, I mean, I'm still putting food out and they don't really seem to care. Like one of the biggest bucks, dude, you put food out right now, he'll be there 2 hours later. He does not care. But I had the same thing happen last year with that 6 point I was after. And I went into the season thinking, oh, dude, I got this deer trained. He watches me come down the hill. He watched me put the food up. I've watched him come running down and eat. He's not going to care when I'm in camo and in a tree. Dude, it took me 3 weeks to see him. And even then, he did something that I never would have thought he did. So it's just one of those things. I'm racking my brain about it. And I think, I don't even know, man. I think like I'm starting to really believe that early season mornings just aren't for not as a general like this is fact, but for me, early season mornings are just a no go, unless you're going on like public and you just want to shoot a doe or something, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
So
again, always and never, but let the cameras tell you if you got one that I killed a really big deer October 17th a couple years ago in Kansas and had not planned on going there until November 1st or the end of around Halloween to get started. And man, I think it was October 17th, October 19th. You know, he repeated himself multiple times and as cold front was coming, and I went in there and killed him the absolute first afternoon, and that was a fluke. I haven't killed a whole lot of bucks, especially the first part of October or the middle even of October out in the Midwest. So
yeah,
yeah, I mean it can happen, and there's just no, there's just no steadfast. It's like this every time. You've got to keep an open mind and be ready to pivot and move if you have to.
yeah. I mean, I mean, you know this. I've told you this before. I used to think, oh, you put corn out, big buck's gonna show up. Nah, and it's been 5 years of learning that, like making a bunch of mistakes and whatnot. But all right, so early season food, that's the main thing we're looking for. Now let's talk, and I know this is going to get juicy because I have talked to you about this before. You've done a million episodes with Bobby Worthington on stuff like this, and with Adam Hayes, and you know what? Tell the people if this isn't going to be in depth enough for them. What's the name of your podcast?
Mission Whitetail,
And what do you guys talk about?
whitetail hunting.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There you go. That's little quick plug. But I want to talk about pre-rut and rut. What is the things you guys are looking for? You, Bobby, the Team 200 guys. Like,
Yep.
what is it? There's got to be something that you guys are seeing when you go out there, or maybe you're scouting beforehand and you're like, this is where I need to be. I know you've mentioned rut funnels. We've gone
Yep.
over rut funnels, but for those who don't know, I would like to cover that again.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, what's like, what makes a perfect spot for you in the pre-rut and rut?
Yeah. I think it's property specific. If you've got a super well managed property where the bucks are bedding in your grass fields that you've set up, your giant miscanthus and your bedding in a bag and your broom straw fields, you've got that set up for bedding. They're unpressured deer. They're going out to a food plot to eat. You've set your stand up in the transition or in the funnel that you've created with a fence or whatever it may be. They've got to come right through that spot. The deer have grown up where they haven't been pressured. They've got that daylight gene. The mature bucks aren't nocturnal. then yeah, man, I mean, you can bust them as soon as the cameras show you they're moving in daylight through there. So that's one scenario. There's not a lot of guys that have situations like that. There are, some that do, and kudos to them. That's awesome. I think the majority of the whitetail hunters are having to hunt pressured deer, and they're having to hunt maybe public or permission, or small family farms, and they got neighbors that are pressuring the deer, and that seems to be more the norm. And when that happens, those 2 and 3 and even 4-year-old bucks that tend to have that gene that they're going to move in daylight, they're already dead, right? They've been killed. So you're looking at bucks that are nocturnal, that are not moving in that October time frame, that October 1st through that window. As soon as they shed their velvet and they do that fall transition, man, they're just not getting up that October 1st or even late September, after they've shed their velvet mid-September, into that October 25th time frame. So you're probably doing a lot more harm. Again, always and never. There's somebody that's going to listen to this and go, I killed my biggest deer ever October 15th. Yeah, I get that. We're talking about the general rule here.
Yep.
That those pressured deer are not really going to start moving until they get full of testosterone. We get to that October 25th time frame through that December 1st. That's what we'll call the rut. And so that's when you really want to focus. And you can kill them on their single travel buck corridor, where you're seeing the rubs and the scrapes and the logging rows that they're just ripping apart. You can kill them, but normally it'll be around that October 25th when we get some cooler weather, cooler than average temperatures that time of year. You can kill them on that single travel corridor where they're checking scrapes. They're going through there. That period is kind of that October 25th to November 3rd period. And then you get into the rut. And in the South, that rut gets, this is really kind of that Midwest time frame that I'm talking about here, that October 25th to November 3rd. In the South, the rut gets started earlier, and you got a much bigger buck or doe to buck ratio, where you've got a lot more does to bucks. So the rut cannot be as aggressive because they don't have to work as hard. I'm kind of rambling on here, but what I'm getting at is concentrating on the rut.
Yeah.
And when that daylight movement will start, and when that testosterone starts, so those first does start coming into heat. And what personally I like to do is hunt those funnels, whether it's a single travel corridor for one particular buck, or it's when they have completely broken loose and they're rutting like crazy. And when you're seeing those deer run across the highways, getting killed in the highways, running across those open fields, that's when a lot of guys struggle. The rut's going crazy. How do I narrow it down? And the way you do that is with a funnel. And the way you find a funnel is you go in that January, February, March timeframe, even in the South, and you start following those trail systems. You find a big trail, follow it one way as far as it'll go until it peters out, turn around and follow it the other way. Eventually, you're going to find a spot where 2 or 3 trails come together. 9 times out of 10, that spot, there will be some type of geographical feature, like a creek crossing, like a bluff, like a end of a drainage ditch. In my instance, that we've got a fenced-in duck pond on this property, and there's 3 or 4 trails that come together, and they have to go around that fence. They can't go over it. So it becomes a man-made geographical feature that forces 2 or 3 trails together. And where you find that is where you increase your odds during the rut, when those bucks are running crazy. They're in between does. You've got 3 or 4 trails coming together, and when they're hitting those trails and they all come together, it's just mathematics, right? It's 4 trails that come together at one point, and that's your funnel. And so that's how you find them, is you walk those trail systems in the off season, and then you find that spot where 3, 4, 5, I've got a spot in Kentucky where 7 different trails come together to go around a big bluff. And man, when the rut gets cranking, you got to be there. You got to
Yeah.
be sitting in those spots as much as you possibly can. And it just stacks the deck, and it forces the deer into that area because they can't get around that, whatever that geographical feature may be.
See, and that makes me think so much of the spot I've been telling you about, because like the just the topography of it and the way that it's set up. I mean, it has to be that, because I'll basically lay out like what I'm looking at. I've got a church behind me, and then through the woods across on the other side is this big open marsh that people fly RC planes in, and that's it. And then across from that, and I said this last night on a podcast that I was on. Don't ask me how I know this, but I figured it out. Across from the marsh, there is this huge pine thicket, like ridiculously thick, that I know the deer are in there. And to me, just looking at it, it's like, okay, well, what's the easiest route of travel that they're going to take their trails? They're going to go around, they're going to come through here where there's food, and then they're going to go back up out. And so, yeah, I mean, I was thinking about everything you told me last year when we did this and talked about it. And I was just looking at it like, well, yeah, of course. This whole place is torn up with rubs. There's scrapes over here. There's this. I can see the trails coming through. I've watched them come down the trails. No wonder. So, I mean, I got to finally see it. And I mean, what you're saying is 100% true. For the guys that are public land only, so I've hunted public land in the rut about 3 or 4 times, and I've only seen a good buck once, which was honestly by accident. But for the guys that maybe don't, I'm trying to think of how I want to ask this. I know what I'm thinking, but like, if you're hunting a public land in rut, right, and say you can't find this, or you're like, it's just totally flat.
Yep.
What do you do then? Because you can't go on like fence rows. I mean, I guess you could, but
no. That's a big problem that guys have, is they don't have any geographical feature. They live in the South, and it's flat. It's river country. It's cut over. How do you find a funnel in those type areas? And that is a challenge that we have. And I actually just did a YouTube video on finding rut funnels in flat land property, and it will launch. It hasn't launched yet, but it's about to come out.
You beat me to it.
Yes.
I was gonna ask about that.
Yes, so it'll be coming out. I sent it to the guys with Chasing Giants TV, and they're going to post it on their platform, and then it'll post on Mission Whitetail's YouTube channel. But so what you do in a situation like that, you still need to follow those trail systems. And you get in and you find a big trail, and you follow that trail, and you walk it. And if it's moving a lot of deer, there's a ton of tracks on it. There's some rubs, there's some scrapes on that trail. Just follow that trail. And if you see where, it forks off, and you lose some deer, or you gain some deer, follow that trail system. Find the spot on that trail system that has the most feeder trails coming into it, or loses the least amount of deer, or gains the most deer. And that can be 9 times out of 10, that's going to be on an edge. And what I mean by an edge is edge of vegetation. You have a cutover that comes into a pine thicket. You have a cutover that comes into hardwoods. You have a cutover that comes into hardwoods and is a corner of cut pines. You have 3 different vegetations that all come together right there. 9 times out of 10, that's where you're going to find your trail systems. And what you can do in that situation is you can, if you're on public, you obviously you can't cut trees down there, but you can pile up some brush. Like if there's a trail that kind of forks off, or one that parallels, you can pile some brush up in there, bend some branches down, encourage those deer to come into an area that's shootable from different trees that you can hunt. You can drop a big mock scrape in there. I'm assuming, on the public land that I've hunted, you can have a mock scrape. Maybe you can't use scents. Like we can't use natural scents in the state of South Carolina, but we can use synthetics. Like we were talking about Troy Pottinger earlier. He makes a synthetic scent that you can use, and it's legal to make a mock scrape here in South Carolina with that. So you can put in a couple mock scrapes, and you can still create those funnels. And all you're doing is pushing 2 or 3 trails together. by piling up brush. It takes a lot of work. But if you find that edge, you find a few trails, you can push those trails into one trail. You got a north wind or an east wind, and you've got a south wind or a west wind stand on both sides of those, and you're able to put a camera in there. That can work really well in the rut, especially when the bucks are between does and they're running those trails. I don't the reason you put the mock scrape in there is not necessarily to lure the bucks into that spot, is to get them to stop when they're coming through there. It's not often that a big deer, when he's coming through a spot, it's the rut, it's the pre-rut, that he sees a great big pawed out mock scrape, that he's not going to at least stop and smell it, especially if he's looking for new does. So again, it's not to lure them in there, it's to get them to stop when they're coming through your funnel.
Got it. Okay. My brain is going. I'm thinking in the public land by my house, and I'm like, okay, I do that there, do that there. I know where he's talking about over here. I got a lot of extra work now to do. But I'm a lot like you. This weekend, my wife's gonna be gone, so I'm gonna go hang a stand and then just do deer stuff all day. So I will have the opportunity to go do that. So basically what I got from that, the most simple way that I could put it without just completely regurgitating what you just said, is in order to find a funnel, follow the trail. And when you see where all the trails converge, that's where it's at.
Yeah, and then time of year, right? I mean,
yes.
you can't. Let's just talk southern public land. Let's focus on that. You can't kill a deer if he's not moving in daylight.
Yeah.
So we've moved away from early season, and we're talking about the rest of the season, right? The rest of the year. You've got the transition period when they're super nocturnal. So when is that deer going to move in daylight? He's going to move in daylight during the rut, right? So we've looked at that rut period, which in different areas, if you looked at the black belt in Alabama versus South Carolina, the rut's completely different. You're talking about a January rut versus, you get into the 1st of October and the rut's already going here in where we hunt in South Carolina. So yeah, completely different thing. So talk to your biologist. When are most of the does being bred in our area? You can call your local DNR, talk to a biologist. When are most of the deer getting bred in my area? And he's going to tell you a window. That's your rut. You can look on the front end of that and the back end of that. The front end of the bat and the back end of that are going to be your best times to kill the buck. So then that's when you want to hunt. That's when you want to be in the woods. That's when you want to take your vacation. And then, yes, if you are willing to look in that public land area in January, February, March, before it gets green, you follow those trail systems. Just get on it. Just walk in the woods. It may take 2 days. Walk in the woods, find a trail, walk that trail out, see if some other ones come in there. 9 times out of 10, where more trails form into that one is where there's some type of an obstruction. It may be a big oxbow in a river. It may be a creek crossing. It may be a ditch crossing. It may be where just a bunch of trees have fallen down and they got to go around the end of the tree. Just enhance that. Pile more brush up right there. You'll see it. Let the sign show you where that is. Pick out your trees for the north wind, the south wind, the east wind, the west wind, however it sets up. And on public, you're probably not going to be able to preset. You got to be mobile. That's okay. You can go in there early. When the rut's going, you want to sit there all day for that wind. If you got to climb down and walk right across the middle of the funnel and climb up that other tree, depending on what the wind and thermals are going to do in the afternoons, then, that by golly, that's what you got to do. And that has worked very well for me over the years. And having Bobby as a mentor the last 4 or 5 years, and seeing the success that he's had over 60 years of whitetail hunting and that system of rut funnel hunting that he's put together, the last few years has really, really helped me a lot as well.
Yeah, dude, I love it when you put out an episode with Bobby, because I'll just sit back while I'm driving and listen to y'all two go, and I'm like, I have no idea what I've been doing the past 5 years. I'm like, good Lord, man. But it's great, right? Like, that's why I wanted to get you on here and talk about this stuff, because you know what you're doing. I mean, clearly.
I appreciate that.
It's one of those deals, man. I'm just trying to help people out with this and really help myself out. It's been a year since I've really put in the effort to think about early season, right? Once early season's over, it's kind of like, all right, well, that's that. Now on to rut and all that other stuff. So I guess to cap that one off, what do you do hunt late season, right?
Man, I used to. I would go like our season is over here in South Carolina January 1st. It doesn't get so super cold here that they get back on like a real food source. And quite frankly, our rut's still going. I mean, we've got fawns that are just being born that are the size of little puppies right now. I mean, I've seen them on the trail cameras, and
Wow.
we've got some that are already out of spots. So it's we don't have any like the Midwest, or you take Kansas, for example, or Alberta, or even Illinois, Iowa. Man, if those fawns aren't born at that exact right time, they'll freeze in the winter. They can't
Yeah.
make it through the winter. So nature forces them to be bred during a certain period of time, or man, those fawns aren't going to make it. Here in South Carolina, the weather doesn't get brutal enough to kill those fawns. So you see them, there's probably a 4-month period of fawns being born, whereas Midwest, it's just several weeks that they're being born. So it's pretty unique. So yeah, late season I used to do some stuff up in Ohio in the snow, and again that gets right back on the food. And
Yeah.
but the deer are so keyed up. Then they've been hunted the whole season. Man, there's nothing on the trees. The trees are completely bare. They're so skittish. It's tough. I got a buddy, but if it gets so brutal, cold wise, that and you get snow on the ground, they got to eat. They have to eat. They have to
Yeah.
get up. They have to move. And a lot of times that's in the afternoon. And there are guys that really capitalize on that brutal weather. And building Asio gear, they're able to sit out there all day. No, I'm just kidding.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
I love when you do that, man.
They throw in their Asio late season bibs and jacket, and man, they
Yep.
can hunt in that brutal stuff. But yeah, so for me, man, I really love hunting that brush country, like down in Texas,
Mhm.
Mexico. So when we start getting into December, January, I tend to migrate down there, and I've got buddies that have ranches down there that let me come down and hunt. So I love to go down there because the ruts, it's like I get a second rut. They
Yeah.
get that December, January rut. So it for me, I guess I'm a bit of a rut chaser. I love it. I love the snort wheezing, the grunting, the chasing, the breeding, the fighting. It's just an exciting time to hunt.
So I gotta know, man, when are we going to Mexico? Because I put in for that giveaway hunt or whatever, that free hunt. Have
Hey,
y'all
well,
drawn anybody?
no, well, it's the 16th. We draw the first week of August, so it's coming. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
we'll
Okay.
announce it. We'll announce it on ICO and Mission Whitetail who won and all that stuff. So yeah,
Now, are you guys still taking entries?
yes, we will take them
You
up
are.
until we draw.
Okay. So for those who don't know what I'm talking about, what is the giveaway hunt?
Yeah, so they just go to the AsioGear.com website, and it is an all expense paid Mexico bow hunt. I mean, technically you could rifle hunt, and it's up to I think 140 or 150-inch deer. It's a 30,000 acre free range ranch, all free range. If you want to shoot a bigger deer, you can. You just got to pay more for that, but it's $1,000 airfare voucher. It's all your gratuity, shipping of your whitetail home. The only thing not included would be the taxidermist of the buck and anything that your flight might be over $1,000. And then if you kill a bigger deer, bigger than what the drawing is for, I think it's like up to 140 or up to 150. But yeah, and I will personally be there. We'll be hunting together, and yeah, man, it's a great spot. Good people down there, and an unbelievably well managed ranch.
Yeah, and you went down there last year, right? Or
Yep.
was it earlier this year?
No, went down last year. Sure did. Went down
And you
last
killed
year.
that stud that
Killed a couple good ones. I shot one with my recurve down there this year. It's a great ranch.
yeah, I saw you guys were doing that and I was like, I recognize that deer. And I went back and saw it and I was like, oh yeah, no, okay, I'm entering in this stuff, dude. 'Cause, I mean that, there's something about like last night I was on this podcast called Blue Hen Outdoors, right? And he asked me, what's your money's no issue. He's like, just what's the top 3 hunts you would do? I'm like, caribou, mule deer, And then I said red stag, but now that I'm thinking about it, I would probably say like either a blacktail or a Texas whitetail hunt, because something
Mhm.
about those Texas whitetails, man, they're just wide, they're framey, they're chocolate rack. Like, I totally understand why you go down there.
Yeah, it's
And
beautiful.
Mexico looks like it's got
Weather's
the same
great.
thing.
Yeah, man, weather's great. Food's great. You know, you get all that Texas barbecue. I mean, it's awesome. It's a
Yeah,
lot.
that
And there's
I was
public
in
land down there,
Texas.
man. There's lots of public land down there that guys can go and hunt.
In Texas?
Yes, sir.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Because I was down there back in March, and while I didn't see a single deer, trust me, I was looking. I
Yeah.
was up in Fort Worth, Dallas area,
Mm-hmm.
and dude, I'll tell you what, I'd go back just for the food. We went to
Sure.
God, what's his name? Terry Black's. You ever been to Terry
Mm-hmm.
Black's?
I haven't. No, I've heard
Oh
of
my
it.
goodness, man, you gotta go. They have this beef rib that is literally the size of like my torso.
Yeah.
It's huge. And I'm
Wow.
just looking at it. I took one bite and I'm like, nah, I y'all will kill me if I do that. But Texas is great, man. That's what I
Yeah.
was getting at. All right, so we finished early season or preseason, early season rut, late season. Um, so let's change gears a little bit before we wrap it up. What are you shooting this year? What is your bow setup, your arrow setup? Have you changed broadheads? What camo are you using? No, I'm just kidding. I know what camo
Yeah.
you're using.
Yeah. For sure.
But yeah, what's the setup look like, man?
Okay, so I shot the Prime last year, shot the Prime the year before, the RVX, and love that bow. I got in the form and I got the 34-inch form and liked it. A little bit long for me. Love the draw cycle, love the way it aimed. And literally day before yesterday, I got in the form 30.
My man, you made me nervous. I was
Yes.
like, did you switch?
So,
No, that's
so I
awesome.
got it in, and yesterday afternoon, Shane, who works with me here at Asio, he's a Bowtech, and he and I got it rigged, just the basic rig. We got the rest put on, we got the Pete, we got the kisser button. I put a sight on it, and I just started shooting it to let the string settle in. I shot it 25 or so times this morning. Man, I am digging the crud out of that bow. It is really smooth drawing. It's super compact. I was a little bit worried being 30. You know, I really like that 31, 32 axle to axle just because I have a 29-inch draw and you get into a string angle with your peep sight when you get you get down to these 30, 28, 27-inch axle to axle, and the string angle gets so steep you can't really see through the peep. So
Mhm.
not having an issue with that, got the peak positioned. So my plan is to break that thing in and take it. I'm headed to Botswana, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. So I'm going to do some plains game hunting over there. I'm
Okay.
hopefully going to take that bow with me. And right now, man, I don't have, unfortunately, I don't have enough experience with it to give it 100% sign off, but so far so good. I need to shoot it at distance and really get some more arrows into it, but loving it so far. Rest wise is the Hampski, the Epsilon Hampski. Shot that thing for multiple years. Love it. Bulletproof. Let's see, sight, black gold dual tracks, 2-pin, vertical pins. Love that sight. Don't see any reason to change from that. Quiver, I like the G5. It's called the headlock quiver. Very inexpensive, but it's a cam lock quiver. You get a little apparatus for your tree that it goes straight from your bow to the tree. I don't like to shoot my quiver on. Arrow, I am testing out the new Victory HLR super light arrow setup. Buddy of mine, Kalen Pope, built these arrows for me, all in with broadhead, fletchings, knocks, the whole shebang. 370 grains total. It's ultra light. Anxious to shoot these into some big animals in Africa to see how they perform. Broadhead, the Mega Meat, G5 Mega Meat broadhead. Love that head. Have shot it for 2 years, killed a bunch of big stuff in Africa with it. And so that's kind of my setup right now.
Dude, 370?
370.
You're 90 grains lighter than my setup is.
Yeah,
That's
I'm 100
insane.
grains. I'm 100 grains lighter than my setup from last year.
Yeah.
I got to test it and see. I will have that decision made when I get home. I'll either be right back shooting 470 grains if these arrows don't if they don't produce,
Yeah.
they don't perform. The reason I like it, I like to be around that 300 feet per second because then I can use one pin from 0 to 30. Most of my shots are inside 30 yards. There's no thinking. It's just pull it back, use the top pin, shoot him if he's inside 30 yards. And I need to be around 300 feet per second to do that. With this light arrow, I'm able to pull about 67 pounds, which is nice. You can hold that back longer. It's much easier to draw very smoothly, very compactly. You don't have some big crazy draw cycle. And at the right now, that arrow at 67 pounds is shooting 310 feet per second. The penetration tests that we've done with it have been right there in line with everything we've ever shot. But I need to shoot some animals with it and see.
Yeah.
So that's the plan. Take this setup over to Africa, see how it performs on wildebeest, skim, buck, kudu. And if it's knocking them down like my setup last year, why would I not want to shoot basically 5-6 pounds lighter bow weight, get the same lethality from the setup? It makes a lot of sense to me.
I hope I don't sound like I'm judging, because I'm not. I'm just shocked. I wasn't expecting that low of a weight, but it makes sense. I mean, but it's funny that this even came up in this way. Like when I was talking to Tim last week, he was talking about a lot of guys are overdrawn on their poundage, right? And it got me thinking, because I'm shooting 70 pounds. I think my arrow weight's like 465, which I'll show you them after this because I think you're gonna like them. But I talked with Victory, and they are supposed to be sending me some HLRs, and I'm like, well, I know they're lighter, so my setup's either going to be 20 grains lighter like I was using last year, or it's going to be even lighter than that. And so to get the comfort like what I want, because I keep thinking, I had it happen last year when I was shooting a bear before I switched to prime, where I drew back on a deer and it was super cold out and I hurt my shoulder, and I'm like, dude, this is not a good setup. So the prime is way different. Obviously, like, it's much smoother. No issues right now, but it's also 100 degrees outside. So you walk outside and you're already warmed up. And I've been thinking kind of going around or along the same line that you have, is maybe drop it down a bit and then, lighten the arrow up some, where you can still get the speed that you want, but you're also not tearing your shoulder apart when you draw it back.
I got to test it, man. I'm not 100% sold on that setup, and I need to. And when we tested it in our mold, it performed very well. But until you actually get it out and shoot some critters with it, I'm not risking that. I know that my 470 grain setup with 74 pounds of bow weight, I know that'll stack bodies.
Yeah.
And I just love tinkering with it. And so if that 370 still performs and it's zipping through kudu and wildebeest stuff that's way thicker boned and way stronger than our whitetail, if it's killing those things just as well as the other setup, yeah, man, I would much rather pull 65, 66, 67 pounds. There's a diminishing return. Eventually you'll get so light in your poundage and so light in your arrow. I think you have to shoot at least 5 grains per pound of bow weight. To keep from dry fire in your bow.
Yeah.
So you gotta be kind of careful there. And you get to a diminishing return where you get too light and you just won't get the penetration. And on the flip side of that, you can get too heavy where, you're just lobbing out a broomstick at them. So guys, just tinker with it and see what they like. I hate this heavy arrow stuff. I mean, that was a real pendulum swing that went way too far off the rails, and guys started trying to hunt whitetail with 650 grain arrows, and that's just crazy.
Yeah, I fell into that trap too, man. When I had Troy on last year, I was fully intending to build a 500 plus grain arrow, and I ended up at about so I had this discussion with a buddy of mine yesterday, and we were talking about arrow weight and stuff. And the thing for me personally, I'm not saying this is across the board, but the thing I've noticed the most in the past 2 years using this weight is if I'm between 440 and 450 at 70 pounds and 28-inch draw, I've had no problems. I've had
that's a deadly
every single
spot,
time.
man. That's a beautiful spot to be.
Yeah, I mean, it works.
You get great penetration. You get a really flat shooting arrow. You get a fast arrow that gets there quick.
Yeah,
that's a great spot to be.
Yeah, I like it, but like you, I like to tinker a lot. So we'll see how it goes, man. But there was one other thing. So how do you think, how do you think that the mega meat's going to perform? Just in your own opinion, with being on
Dude,
such a light arrow.
I've never seen anything more deadly and devastating
Oh yeah,
than the
that's
mega
why
meat.
that's all I'm using. It's
It's
the only one I'm using.
insane. It's insane. If guys like personally, I mean, if I get an eland that comes in, that's a 2,000 pound antelope, the biggest antelope in the world.
Was that
I
that
will,
really tall, big one? It's kind of like brown.
yeah, yeah, they look
Okay.
like a cow. They're
Yeah.
massive. And if I shoot one of those, I probably won't shoot that with the mega meat just for the penetration factor. I'll switch to the T2, but it'll still be a mechanical broadhead. If I was going to shoot before I shoot a fixed blade head, I will shoot the T2, the G5 T2. It is. I shot a bunch of stuff with it last year. It is like a fixed blade head. It's insane the penetration you get out of that. But the devastation, especially for whitetail, the devastation you get from that mega meat, 2-inch cut, 3 blades, really good ferrule, super accurate. But again, on that super light arrow, we'll see. We'll
That's what I'm curious about. I really want to see. Are you gonna? So first off, if you're not gonna do this, can you keep me updated? Because I really want to know. But are you going to have like a video review? I know you're probably going to talk about it on the podcast, but
Yeah, no, we absolutely will. And I'm going to take a little video camera with me and try and set it up in the edge of the ground blind and get these kill shots on video so we can see exactly what happens and then film the blood trails and all that. I'm definitely going to take that over. So yeah, I will have that, and we'll have a mission whitetail like bow breakdown of what we're going into whitetail season with.
mhm.
And if I was a betting man, I would say it's going to be the Prime Form 30 with the HLR 370 all in arrow weights with tipped with the mega meat, but we don't know that yet.
Yeah,
We don't know that yet, and I'm certainly not doing one thing to my bow setup from last year. I'm gonna leave it set up, ready to go, just like it is with the RIP TKOs at 470 all in arrow weight and the 74 pounds of draw weight, and we're gonna leave all that sitting just like it is. But I think we might be onto something, especially for whitetail, that's gonna be a little more lethal.
I love this part of this episode because you're making a lot of my partners very happy right now. You keep on saying Prime, Victory, G5, and I'm like, hey, just keep it coming, Joe. Just keep. You're making my
Yeah,
job a lot easier.
none of those companies pay me 1 cent.
Oh, me neither. Me
They
neither.
don't give me $1 to say any of that. It's just good stuff. I
Yeah.
just like their stuff.
Well, that's the thing too, man. Is like I I've said this to you before, but like I like to use things, or I like to work with people that I like their product. Like
Mhm.
Asio, love the pattern. Thank you guys, by the way, for
Yeah,
getting involved
man.
in the bow shoot
Yeah,
this
for
past
sure.
weekend, dude.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
wish you could have came. It was hot, but it was so
Yeah.
much fun.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man. Like I only try to promote the people that I use. You guys, Victory, G5 Prime, all of that. And so I know Brian's gonna love this episode because we've been talking about the forum and Mega Meet and all of that a quarter of
Good.
the
Yeah, man.
episode.
Yeah,
So
he's a
I'm
good
gonna
dude.
text him, be like, "Hey, buddy, I don't know if you listen, but you need to just skip all the other stuff about deer. Just go to this last little section." And
Perfect.
but cool, man. Well, look, before we wrap it up, is there any other thing you wanted to cover? And if not, give us a shameless plug before we wrap
Yeah,
it up.
no, man, I appreciate it. Guys that are interested in the camo patterns, we got a lot of information on the Asio Gear website, and then social media, Asio Gear, and any specific questions, Joe Miles Hunting Instagram. That's normally where I hang out. So yeah, fire away, and man, be happy to talk deer with anybody that wants to talk it.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right,
You got to
man.
do it
Thank you
again.
so much. Really appreciate you having me on.
Yes, sir.